Week 7 of PFR on Lakeshore Public Television tonight. Another night of getting you ready for conference showdowns tomorrow evening. And we'll recap last Friday night's high school football. We'll have another game of the night.
Yeah, and really interesting last Friday night. We had a major upset and a team that came back and scored 3 touchdowns in the last 7 minutes of the game to win. Just amazing.
Unpredictability in high school football. We'll have more of that coming up right after this on PFR.
Who is the dark afraid of? His name is Tim. When you report a power outage, Tim and linemen like him respond to the call. Text OUT to 444-111 to report an outage. With your cell phone, when the power's out, power is still in your hands. Support for PFR and PFR Scoreboard is provided by Geminis, partnering for the future.
Week 7 of PFR on Lakeshore Public Television, and we are ready to go, Wayne, with Week 7. Another night of unpredictable matchups coming our way tomorrow night. But first, some of the big stories of last week. Obviously, the big upset from Hanover over Whiting.
And the big comeback from Michigan City in the fourth quarter to defeat Lake Central.
And especially with Marquise Hurt out.
Yes.
Marquise Hurt.
Hurt, Kane Vesey is a man, boy. I'll tell you, he is a monster in the backfield.
Right.
He's, he's pushing for MVP of the year, I'll tell you.
He is. He's a load. He's a very physical ball carrier. All right, time to look back at the highlights from Week 6 of the high school football season. All right, time for some players of the week for last week, Week 6. Let's start with the offense. We've talked about one of them or two of them already, Wayne, and what a great job by Michigan City coming back to get the victory over LC.
And this first young man, Buck Kane VC, is just amazing. We're talking 311 yards, 3 TDs against Lake Central, and they scored Michigan City 3 touchdowns in the last 7 minutes to win this one.
And Teely Ryan has become the sensation.
Oh yeah.
Of high school football here in Northwest Indiana of late. 309 yards rushing, 4 TDs.
And everybody at Hanover Central, or at least us, have talked about D. Lang, the quarterback for there, and sometimes he's kind of overshadowed this young man, Dustin Lindley. He has been very good for Hanover
Well, I
Central.
think it was part of their game plan. I thought they said in the paper that to use DeLang as a decoy against Whiting a little bit, because they thought that Whiting defensively would be focusing on him. And they were able to get a Dustin Lindley loose and get him out for a couple touchdowns and 150 yards. And Devontae Jones, we talked about what an athlete he is.
What an athlete. 284 yards, 4 TDs versus Morton, and that clinched the conference championship.
Well, they got to win out still.
They played everybody in the conference.
They got Wheeler, I think, Hanover does.
No, I'm talking about East Chicago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Hanover.
No.
Okay. You're right. EC, I think he has played everybody.
That's right. On defense,
Hanover. See, I had Hanover on my mind.
Yeah.
Hanover's defense, tremendous last week.
Tremendous. And East Chicago shut out Morton last week. Tylee Rimmer from East Chicago had a 33-yard fumble recovery over Morton, victory over Morton.
And there's a young man from Portage. I want Coach Rodriguez to tweet me. I believe he had a young man who had 3 picks last week.
From Portage.
Yes. So we'll give him a shout out tomorrow night. We just need him to tweet us that young man's name. I'm thinking, I'm not going to speculate, but I'm sure he'll let us know that he had a young man with 3 picks last week in their win. All right, Chris Van Erken.
From Andrean, 39-yard field goal, and Adrian Cantos from Hobart had a 29-yard kick versus Lowell.
How about some unknown players of the week? They're now famous. They're worldwide celebrities in high school football.
Chris Juice 2. Remember now, Jordan Justovich was Juice 1.
Okay.
It's Chris Juice 2.
All right, I like that. Juskowitz, who he's unknown because he was out.
Yes, yes. He was out for most of the season, and he came back, and he just did a little bit.
Yeah,
he had 3 touchdowns of 50, 51, and 78-yard runs versus Maryville.
Quincy Trimble, over 200 yards.
And he is, I think he's only a sophomore also, and he is coming. I mean, he is going to be a tough,
I think that's
tough
because Giles got hurt, right? Giles got banged up during the game last week.
Right.
And Justin Harrell.
Yep, from North Newton, 3 TDs, and the North Newton Spartans are just on a roll.
They are on big time.
They are.
All right, big movement in the polls this week. Let's start with a little 5. North Newton's wondering where they're at.
Well, we got Griffith. I had to get Griffith in there somewhere, and they are
3A,
they
I
are
guess.
3A, and
yeah.
so like Knox. They are 4-2, and Tadian Walker had a nice game last week against Munster, 102 yards and 2 TDs. But North Newton, man, at 5-1.
Yeah, and Knox.
A lot of credit.
5-1.
And that's right. And South Central, 5-1. Rensselaer 4-2 for
the Bombers are playing better.
That's right.
How about the top 10? The only poll that matters, the PFR top 10. Where will Hanover hit? Whiting's going to take a little bit of a hit this week.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. I mean, you look at the top 10, and East Chicago is coming in at number 10. They're 4-1 on the season,
and rightly so.
And they are. They're playing well. They won their conference.
The Bricklayers are at number 9.
They've got a big one. Munster is going to be a big test at Munster this week.
Andrean's coming on.
Yep, big night against Highland. And there they are, the Whiting Oilers at 7, 5-1. Hanover Central still undefeated at 6-0.
Maryville down to 3-3.
Well, they lost a tough one to LaPorte, 46-35 then. Portage, I am just really impressed with Darren Rodriguez and what he's done over there.
Outstanding season so far.
You know, they're 3-3, but boy, or 4-2, I'm sorry, but they really have played well, and City too. You know, that's going to be Michigan City. You got Paul Mason really doing a job there. You've got Darren Rodriguez doing a great job at Portage. We've got a lot of good
Two new coaches that they're going to be
that's right.
squaring off. Coach Mason's ball club with the big come-from-behind win against Maryville and Lake Central. Portage actually, lost a close game to Mishawaka, lost another close game to Maryville. They've been in every game this year, and Valpo's got a lot of momentum.
Wow, they do. You know, Bisecki has just played very well. He had 2 touchdowns against Chesterton. But Valpo really, I think LeFew really has stepped in at quarterback and taken over that team, and they've got a great defense. They could really run the table.
And their offense is vastly improved.
Yes.
And they've got Portage next week in that great rivalry game.
That'll be a good one.
And still number one, no doubt, the top team in Northwest Indiana. They've deserved it. They've earned it on the field. It's the Slicers.
They just really are impressive because they run the ball, and then Nolan Lorenz dumps a couple over the top, and they're just a very good team. Defensively, they're a good team.
And then just like they needed a new offensive weapon, they got another.
Juice back.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, like they needed another offensive
They only
weapon.
put up 465 yards total offense. So, yeah, they definitely deserve to be number one still.
All right, there's the top 10, the only poll that matters. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, T-Dub, Tommy Williams will be out getting you ready for our game of the night. All that's coming up next on PFR.
For more information on everything prep football, visit us on Facebook or on Twitter at PFR Sports.
Last Friday, the Hobart Breakies picked up a win at Lowell for the first time in 3 years, or at least first time in 3 years they've defeated Lowell. Now they've got a big matchup against Munster coming up, and that is our game of the week. We've got Hobart coach Ryan Turley joining us, and how big a W was that for you guys, considering that 3 years in a row couldn't get the better of the Red Devils?
You know, anytime you go against Lowell, you know it's going to be a fight, and especially down at their place, which we haven't won since, I think, 2012 down there. So it was a big win for us, and we needed it for the conference. You know, right now we're in the conference run for a conference title, and excited about our opportunities this week against Munster.
And, of course, Nick Ray had a big game for you. I believe 230 yards for Mr. Ray. How important is he to the way things are going here at Hobart?
Oh, he's been a leader on our team for a couple of years now, and that's the expectation of seniors in our program, and he stepped up and had a great night, but he couldn't have done it without our line, and our line had a good night as well.
You have a quarterback, Wolf, who's really gotten it done for you as well. Let's talk about him.
Mickey, again, a senior on our squad, and he's had a nice year as well. We have some good receivers, and you know, he's coming into his own. You know, it's his senior year, and you know those seniors are stepping up at the right time and trying to get ready for the playoffs. You
mentioned how tough Munster is up front. How tough is it going to be going up against those guys in the trenches?
Well, I mean, Coach Marsh always has those guys up front. They're ready to go on both sides of the ball. So it'll be a battle in the trenches. And, you know, our guys are starting to progress. You know, they were young early in the season, young from the standpoint of not having a lot of experience. But now you got 6 games under your belt, and we're going into week 7. You know, you can't use that as an excuse anymore.
You have Ray and Wolf, but they've got Jiminville. How tough is it going to be going up against that kid?
He's an athlete, that's for sure. We need to know where he's at all times on both sides of the ball.
Now, we know you don't want to give us too much of the game plan, but what specifically do you want to attack when you play Munster on Friday?
Well, I mean, I've said this week in and week out. I mean, it's going to come down to the team that blocks and tackles the best, and that's what we're going to focus on this week is blocking and tackling. And if we block and tackle better than they do, then I think we're going to put ourselves in a good position for a W.
Congratulations on the win last week. Good luck next week.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's the story here from Hobart. Let's say we make the trip out now to Munster and talk with their fine head coach, Leroy Marsh. And as promised, here we are at Munster to take a look at the Mustangs as they prepare for their big weekend matchup with the Hobart Breakies. And we've got their fine head coach, Leroy Marsh, who's been here a few years.
44 years this year, Tommy.
44 years. My first varsity football game was against you when you were an assistant at Munster, just to let you know.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. What year was that?
74.
Okay,
yeah.
my second year.
Second year. There you go. Let's bring it current now and talk about what you learned from last time you took the gridiron, which is going to help you against the Breakies on Friday.
Well, last week we played pretty well, except on defense we did not play very well, and on offense we had almost 400 yards offense, but we fumbled 3 times. So we've got to take care of the football a little bit better.
Defensively, you said you struggled a bit, and of course you're going up against a Hobart team that's got a couple of weapons that can hurt you if you don't tighten it up.
They have a lot of weapons offensively, and the 2 wide receivers are outstanding. Running backs very good, quarterbacks capable. So yeah, we'll have to tighten it up a lot.
Let's talk about the kid Jumonville, who's been absolutely phenomenal for you this year.
Andrew's a great kid. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks we've ever had. I think 2 games he was in the 70% completion. I think he's got about 55% for the season. Really good leader, good football player, good quarterback.
Offensively, how confident you are that you can break down that Hobart defense?
Well, I think we can. Nobody's really stopped us this year. Munster stopped Munster, and so if we execute, I think we'll be okay offensively. Even though Hobart's got a really fine defense, but that hasn't been our problem. Our problem's been on defense this year.
How can you tighten that up before Friday, and can you tighten up the turnover situation as well?
You know, I believe in God, and we do a lot of praying, Tommy. We've worked on ball security this week, and obviously we worked on defense this week, trying to get a little bit better. We're a very young football team, and young players, I think, improve every week, and we need to keep trying to get improvement every week.
How confident are you in this football team that you could turn it around, because I guess last week wasn't such a great week for you?
Well, I hope we can play better. You know, the big thing that's a bugaboo for us right now is we've got several injuries like everybody this time of year does. So we're playing through some of those injuries, and we'll see how we can do.
And it's been good to know you for as long as I have, buddy. Wish you nothing but the best on Friday.
Thanks, Tommy. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, Joe and Wayne, you have both sides of the story as we get you ready for this big matchup tomorrow night, Hobart versus Munster. My only question to you two guys is this: who you got?
I think that was a lot of information on
Yes.
the Hobart-Munster game.
Yes.
But we didn't find out the scouting report on Tommy back in '74, so
That's
Coach
right.
Marsh did give us that.
Did he even get in the game?
I
don't know.
Well, you'll have to ask him tomorrow night.
You know, this is a great matchup. I think this is a good pick for us because Hobart is coming off a nice game against Lowell, like Tommy said, 3 years that they haven't beaten them. And Munster struggled a little bit, not on offense, but with turnovers last week against Griffith. You've got the matchups, Joe. You got Wolf to James and Nick Ray in the backfield. On the other side, you've got Jumonville to Scott and Stanley.
Well, I don't often agree with you, but your first point under Munster is exactly what I'm thinking here. Get the big guy the ball.
Right.
You got to go back. When Munster was playing very well, Jalen Scott is a tough matchup for any backfield. Whether it's if you got to put a linebacker on him or if you're going to put a defensive back on him, he is a tough matchup. Get Jalen Scott the ball.
And I really think that if they can, Munster can get inside the 20, down there, you got to throw it up to him. I mean, he just goes up and gets it.
That might give you a lead into where I'm going with that.
Okay.
If I'm saying get Jalen Scott the ball, there might be a reason.
There might be a reason for that. I'll tell you, this is a great ball game. I really think that people think Munster lost last week, so therefore Coach Marsh is respected around the region. He's going to get those kids ready to play, and I think this is a conference deciding win. The one that loses may be out of it.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think the loser could be out of it is definitely right.
Right.
But there's still other games to be played and a couple other teams still in the hunt. All right, Wayne, you finally got the car back on the road last week, huh?
I did.
What was it, week 6?
17, yes, it took me that long. Didn't we always say Maryville started late?
You and Maryville.
That's right.
About week 7. That's definitely been the thing. 17-2 last week, and close to that 70% mark.
Yes, it is.
Not
Not
there.
70%.
I lost a couple of heartbreakers
did.
to fall
Lost a couple
under
of-
50%.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gosh, I
tough.
hope you have 2 or 3 today.
yeah. I don't know about that, but it's time to go to the picks. Time for Wayne's World. All right, we are ready to go.
Well, now, like always, Joe, I've tried to leave you a few that you could kind of pick here.
Hey,
and stuff.
they were difficult last week. Equally as difficult this
All
week.
right.
Not a whole lot out there. A lot of favorites,
Right. Let's go to the scoreboard. And I really like right now, Lake Central over Chesterton. I don't think Chesterton could put enough points on the board.
I thought about this one. That's a
and
tough
it's
loss
at
for
Lake
LC.
Central. Yeah, a
last
big
week.
loss.
They're
That's
going
right.
to have to rebound.
That's right. And I like Michigan City over Portage, even though this is going to be a good game. It's
Thought
at
about that
Portage.
one as well. That Doolin's a little wacky.
Yeah. Valparaiso over Maryville, even though it's at Maryville. And I think Valpo's proven they can win on the road.
Valpo's defense has just been playing
Yes.
pretty well. Maryville's defense has struggled a little bit.
And Crown Point, I don't know if they can put up enough points on the board to beat LaPorte.
I got to totally agree with you there. Just because LaPorte puts up way many
Yes,
points.
they do.
Yeah. How about the Northwest Crossroads?
I like Andrean over KV. I like Lowell to get back on the winning track. They're at Morton. And I like Griffith over Highland. This will be the last battle of the Erie Electoral Trail, whatever that is. But this will be the last battle between Griffith and Highland in conference play.
In the Great Lakes,
Yep.
you like Gavitt.
I do. I like Gavitt over Clark. And in the greater South Shore, I like, Whiting to bounce back over Calumet.
And you like the Station.
I do. I like
The
Lake
Station let me down a little last
Yeah,
week.
they did. They played well, but they let you down.
Offensively didn't get it done. And
I like Boone over Noah.
well, don't go so fast there, Wayne. I believe we have a pick here. The River in that big
over
rivalry.
Lake State. That's a big rivalry game. You're right. That was a good
and
one.
what happens in rivalry games?
Yes,
You toss out the record.
that's right. You certainly do. And River Forest has been close in a number of
River
games,
Forest
too.
has been very close. This is going to be determined by turnovers. A very even matchup.
We should have got the. I thought you picked Lake Station another time before the
I
Red
did,
Shape Park.
and
game.
they lost.
They lost. Okay. Good for me. Okay.
That's why I'm picking River. You like Boone Grove over
I
Knoll?
do. I like Boone over Knoll, and I like North Newton, who's playing so well over South Central. This is a good game. Both teams are 5-1.
I don't think so. South Central struggled this year. You gotta like
They're
North
5-1 though.
Not South Newton. Or not, I'm sorry, South Central. I thought that was South Newton. But yes,
No.
I like North Newton handily, Wayne, in
Yeah.
that game.
Okay.
North Newton's they've stepped it up. But not,
They have. They really have. And Hanover Central over Wheeler.
Wheeler's got to get some positive juice going
Yes.
with that offense.
Yes. And
I thought about this one, Wayne.
I like Judson. Triton.
I just couldn't pick against my Jays.
That's
You
you
know,
shouldn't because
basically, that's basically what it comes down to.
Triton's not playing that well. And Pioneer over Knox.
Pioneer over Knox. We'll see how competitive Knox is with Pioneer. Obviously,
That's right.
Pioneer is an outstanding football team. And there's your pick, Wayne.
There it is. I'm taking Hobart. They won on the road last week. They're coming into Munster. It's going to be a close game, but I'm picking Hobart over Munster.
All right, thus, you know that. I've only picked one game to this point.
So far, yes.
Yes. So I like the Stang.
Stang is good.
Get my guy
All right.
Jalen Scott the ball.
All right.
Okay? Get that run game going with Danny Stanley. Come on, defense, tackle. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
You think
I
so?
believe so.
I think there's going to be points on the board. I agree.
Munster's got, as Coach Marsh said, you can't turn it over.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
You got to get back, bounce back, play some fundamental football, get the points on the board.
Only lost by 3 to Griffith.
Yeah.
It was a good game, and they could have won that.
And there was a couple breaks they didn't get.
Yes, they did. That's true. So your third pick, is it going to be the Bears over the Lions?
I like the Bears, but I've liked them the first 2 weeks also, so what do I know? What do I know, Wayne? Not a great performance Sunday night.
God, no.
Woo! All right, we'll be here tomorrow night with another edition of PFR Scoreboard. Live at 10:30 on Lakeshore Public Television. We'll have scores and highlights of another wacky week in high school football. And don't forget as well to monitor that internet on Sunday, the draw.
Right. Don't forget 89.1.
89.1 FM.
Radio station.
Tommy, Brian, and Wayne for Lakeshore Game Night. 89.1 FM.
Right.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night on Lakeshore Public Television.
Who is the dark afraid of? His name is Tim. When you report a power outage, Tim and linemen like him respond to the call. Text OUT to 444-111 to report an outage. With your cell phone, when the power's out, power is still in your hands. Support for PFR and PFR Scoreboard is provided by Geminis, partnering for the future. Captioning for PFR and PFR Scoreboard is provided by Voice-to-Print Captioning, LLC. Wardrobe for PFR and PFR Scoreboard provided by Gosser Corporate Sales Incorporated. Custom embroidery, screen, and digital printing. Further support provided by Fahrenheit 212 Restaurant and Bar.